Chemistry doesn't really care about what you do, how you do it, what you say, anything like that. Chemistry is purely biological. So I want to give an idea, a suggestion, if you will, that may stop some of you from making a mistake getting into marriage when you shouldn't have to begin with. Something that you should do, well, something you should realize is that don't marry someone hoping that the things that drive you crazy about them are going to just instantly change. Well, now that we're married, now that we've shown love and commitment, these things are going to change, because they're not. You really need to have a sit-down conversation with each other and say, you know, I don't like the way you load the dishwasher. And of course, it's really, you don't like the way that you load, I would rather you load the dishwasher the way I do. That's not going to change. Something simple like, I don't like when you leave your toothbrush and toothpaste on the counter, or you spit toothpaste out in the mirror when you're brushing your teeth. Things like that can change. You need to sit down and have a discussion with each other about the things that, or I guess you could say a pet peeve, things that bother you that the other person does. If you can have an adult sit-down conversation about those things, give each other the reasoning, this is why I do that. I did know that bothered you, because they probably didn't. I can change that. I can fix that. I'll stop doing that. I'm sorry that bothers you. There are some things that aren't going to change. If he likes to sit on the PlayStation for an hour a day just to unwind, and you figure, well, once we get married, that's going to stop. I'm sorry, but you've already doomed your marriage. It's not going to stop. You're trying to take away and change who they are. She likes to go shopping. She loves to window shop for hours at a time, and I'm standing there holding her purse. That's probably not going to change either. So if these are things that you are willing to live with and accept from the other person, then you're looking more towards a successful relationship or even marriage. But you really need to sit down and have a discussion with each other about those things that bother you, instead of keeping them inside and keeping account and thinking that once we get married, this is going to stop and I'm going to stop it and they're going to change. You're just dooming yourself and you're going to be miserable. So don't do that. Again, it all comes down to communication. Have an adult conversation. Talk about these things. If you talk about marriage and you want to get married, have that discussion. These are the things that you do that bother me, that upset me. This is why they do. Not just, I want you to stop doing this. That's not really the way to approach that. Leaving your toothbrush out or spitting toothpaste on the mirror is disgusting. Can you please put that stuff up and just clean up after yourself? That's all I'm asking. Something simple like that. Just bring it out, bring it in the open, discuss it like adults. If they're willing to change those things, if some things aren't willing to change, then you have to decide whether or not you're willing to live with that for the rest of your life. If you're not willing to live with that the rest of your life, then you definitely do not need to get married, because that will bring resentment. Slowly but surely, then other things will start adding up too. Well, now there's not just this, but there's this also, and then there's this, and then there's this. And all of a sudden, you're going to explode. So sit down, have those conversations with each other. If they're not willing to change it, you have to decide if being with them forever while that is going on is something you can live with. Not something to bring up later and complain about, but you have to accept it. If you're not willing to accept it, don't do it. So have that sit-down talk, discuss it with each other. That way you can agree, what can change, what can't change. Then see if it does change. If it changes for a week and then goes back to what it was again, that means it's not going to change. So please have that conversation before you get involved in a serious marriage or long-term relationship, buying a home together, things like that. That way you don't end up regretting your decision later on.